What's up, black and white entertainment fans? It is John Matrix, and I'm coming to you with another video here, folks. In today's episode on Black and White Entertainment, we're going to be talking about Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, and the sequel trilogy. I remember actually going to the movie theater in 1999 to see The Phantom Menace. I was so hyped for that movie back in 1999, and I enjoyed that movie. I'm not even afraid to admit it, I know the prequels get a lot of hate, but I really did enjoy The Phantom Menace. But over time, before the dark times, before Disney, those prequel movies were getting a lot of hate, mainly the first two, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Now, I believe Revenge of the Sith, a lot of people actually liked that movie and they got very good reviews, even from the media, okay? But since the sequel trilogy from Disney, which was clearly a complete disaster, the prequels have been getting a lot more love over the years. And it probably started mainly because of The Last Jedi, but I believe that The Force Awakens, I know people are going to say, oh, I like the movie. I hated that movie. I walked out of that movie theater and I was like, I actually hate a Star Wars movie. I did not like this movie. Luke wasn't in the movie. It was a joke. And we know how Disney and Lucasfilm actually feel about Luke. They can't stand him. But anyway, I found this article here, and even the media is starting to realize how terrible the sequel trilogy movies are. Okay? This article here on Insider.com says, sorry, but The Phantom Menace is better than any Star Wars movie of the last decade. And they're mainly just talking about the Disney movies, because really that's the only Star Wars movies that have come out in the last decade. Now, George Lucas sold the company back in 2012, and you get the Force Awakens in 2014, and a movie that I didn't like. Now, the real problem started with The Last Jedi. To people, that actually did like The Force Awakens, the problems really started with The Last Jedi for most Star Wars fans overall. So let's go through this article here, and I'll kind of give you my opinion on what this author says. His name is Jacob Sarkeesian. So he says here, The Phantom Menace was called the most overhyped motion picture of the last decade upon its 1999 release. But the truth is that all the most recent Star Wars movies released by Disney deserve this title a lot more. Now, if you go back to 1999, that was the first Star Wars movie since 1983, Return of the Jedi. And there was a bunch of hype for that movie. That movie actually hit over $1 billion back in 1999, which was unheard of at that time. But I can't really disagree with what he said right here, that the Disney movies deserve this title as being the most overhyped. I can't disagree with that. I really can't. Those movies are trash. They really are trash. But let's continue on. That's not to say that those films in the last 10 years have been terrible. Rogue One was excellent, and there are some great moments in Disney's sequel trilogy too. But George Lucas is Star Wars, and so too, therefore, is The Phantom Menace far more than Disney's polished trilogy. So I will agree. Rogue One, I really did enjoy Rogue One. That is the only movie that Disney has put out that one could say is actually better than The Phantom Menace. But to say that there were great moments in the Disney sequel trilogy, I'm sorry. I can't really think of one moment in the sequel trilogy that was good. None. Zero, zilch. Once The Last Jedi started, because I don't even count Luke in The Force Awakens, because he was just there for a minute, doesn't even have a line, and he looks angry. I mean, if you go back and you watch the end of The Force Awakens and Luke is looking at Rey, he has a look of anger on his face. I know a lot of people blame Rian Johnson for Luke, but J.J. Abrams didn't do anything with Luke himself. So I can't think of one good moment. None. They disrespected the past completely. Everything in The Last Jedi was awful. And everything in The Rise of Palpatine was probably even worse, because that movie actually wrecked an entire trilogy. Now, the good thing about the Phantom Menace is you got some cool characters. Qui-Gon Jinn. I love Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul. Those, I believe, are the two new characters at that time. Qui-Gon was kind of like this, how should I say, kind of like a rogue kind of Jedi, that beat to his own drum. He wasn't Yoda. He wasn't Obi-Wan. And Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan was fantastic in that movie. We get introduced to Mace Windu. Mace Windu is a very, very popular Star Wars character. Not a whole lot that he actually did in The Phantom Menace. You actually get to see him, do stuff in the next movie and in Revenge of the Sith. Now, continuing on here, the movie is also crucial to the wider context of Star Wars universe and set things up that are now treasured by Star Wars fandom, including a certain red-headed Sith wielding a double-bladed lightsaber. Man, when I first saw Darth Maul, I was like, man, this guy looks super cool. And when you actually see Duel of the Fates, when he's actually fighting Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, that is probably the best Star Wars lightsaber battle in all of the movies. All of them. Now, whereas in the sequel trilogy, every single lightsaber battle was trash. I mean, you have Rey picking up a lightsaber without any training. No training whatsoever, and she defeats Kylo Ren. Second movie, Luke is fighting Kylo Ren, but he's not even really there. And then Rian Johnson does his slow motion stuff. It looks silly. It didn't even feel like Star Wars. It didn't. And then he stole Escape from LA at the end of that fight. I was highly disappointed with that. Highly. And don't even get me started with the rise of Palpatine. More trash. More trash. And it says here, it's no secret that the Phantom Menace could probably use a good edit. It has pacing issues, and the stilted dialogue the prequel movies are often criticized for is also part of the fabric of Star Wars by this point. And yes, Jar Jar Binks is kind of annoying, but not nearly as much as is now widely accepted. Now, Jar Jar Binks was put in there. He was put in there because George wanted something for the kids. And I don't have a problem with that. Now, you're talking about dialogue. All Star Wars movies have these dialogue issues. They do. But it was a lot better than what they had Finn doing. All Finn did through 3 movies was just scream for Rey. That's it. Through 3 movies, all he did was scream Rey, Rey, Rey. It was ridiculous, folks. Absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know if you guys actually know this or not, but when my channel, we used to do pop culture on it. We used to have live streams, and we did a top 10 movies of all time. And Rhodes actually had The Force Awakens, I believe, like number 7 on his all-time list of movies, number 6 or number 7 all time. I was like, are you serious? Are you serious about that? But then, as he watched the rest of that sequel trilogy, that movie's ruined for him. He can't even watch it. He says, I think he said it's out of his top 50 now. That's the kind of damage that the sequel trilogy has done. The people that actually did like The Force Awakens, almost none of them can watch that movie now because it's just complete trash. It's complete trash, folks. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I think I've been pretty vocal about this on my old channel, that I have The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, all above these sequel movies. All of them. Rogue One is the only exception. It's not better than Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is actually my second favorite Star Wars movie. But I'll put Rogue One ahead of this movie. Even though I much prefer to watch the Jedi stuff. And there really isn't any Jedi stuff in Rogue One. even though that Vader scene was amazing. That's the only time we really get to see, Vader in his full glory. Of course, he force choked Krennic. I like that movie. But we know that movie had a lot of problems also. And the only reason why that movie was good is because Tony Gilroy came in and he fixed the problems with the movie. And for the most part, generally, everybody liked Rogue One. They did. And that's why I believe Tony Gilroy is actually coming in for the Cassian Andor series, because he's the one that made Rogue One good. But the real blame in all this, it goes back to Disney, man. It goes back to Disney. Kathleen Kennedy, they're prioritizing, identity politics over story. Now, guys that have been listening to me for a long time, you guys already know this, that if you alienate the story and you only focus on the identity politics, you're going to be destined to fail. And even in the sequel trilogy, when they were focusing on identity politics, Kelly Marie Tran and John Boyega, they don't like their characters because their characters had no development whatsoever. Rose Tico was just thrown in there just for identity politics. They just wanted a non-white face, Asian face. They just threw in there, just like they did with Finn. Finn actually is the one who I believe they messed up the most on. Finn had the most potential. He really, really should have been a Jedi, and he really should have been the main star of the sequel trilogy. It was all there. His character was much more interesting. A stormtrooper that defects from the First Order, and he has force abilities, that would have been awesome. But they abandoned that. And then you get to push Rey in, and Rey doesn't really have any character development, no good story. They didn't know what they wanted to do with her. That was 100% clear. I mean, JJ, I don't know what he was really trying to do with her in The Force Awakens. I don't know. Then Rian Johnson said, oh, she's nobody, a parent's nobody. Then all of a sudden she's a Palpatine, and Palpatine wasn't supposed to return. It was a mess, folks. A complete mess. I don't even know really what to say about this, but we know that George Lucas was not happy with these movies. George said that he sold his babies to white slavers, and I believe in his contract at Disney that he couldn't actually go out and speak bad about the movies, but it's pretty clear George Lucas hates these movies because he had his story treatments, and Bob Iger decided to throw it all out because, you got to let the past die, and they had no plan. Mandalorian is good, but that's not a movie. But I almost completely agree with this, that, yeah, The Phantom Menace is a whole lot better than all of these movies except for Rogue One. But if you're speaking strictly saga movies, it's The Phantom Menace, and it's not even close. Not even close, folks. But that's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white entertainment fans, do you agree that The Phantom Menace is the best movie that Disney has put out in the last 10 years, actually since they bought it from George Lucas? Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to Black and White Entertainment, and we'll catch you next time.